Testing, testing, testing. Dear beloved Muslims, our guests, our delegation here from Morocco, our guests here from the film documentary. They're doing a film documentary, so you may see a film crew up here. They're doing a new documentary on Brother Malcolm. And they want to make sure that he's introduced to this new generation right here that haven't had a chance to really know him. And they don't just pull from what's on the media. They want to do a great documentary. So they're here. This is part of that documentary. So you may see them moving around in the back as well. So we greet our guests who are here, those who are here for the first time, and also the 138 countries that are viewing from around the world. We greet you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Please turn off all cell phones until after Jumah, please. Thank you. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, أشهد لا إله إلا الله أشهد لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين هو الذي خلق الإنسان من طين وأخرجه من الظلمات إلى النور فنحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره نؤمن به ونتوكل عليه نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. قال الله في القرآن الكريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Also أيضا في القرآن الكريم, also in the Quran, يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله تساءلون به والأرحام. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, we give all praise and all thanks. And again, we want to say the complete thanks and complete praise, the perfect and complete praise and thanks to Almighty God Allah, the one and only creator of the heavens and the earth, and He rules alone. He is the living whose life is without need, but there is no life without a need in Him. Allah lets us know that He doesn't eat. He said He's not fed, but He is the one that feeds all. And He says nothing is like Him. Nothing is like Him, and He is not like anything, and He doesn't resemble anything. He doesn't increase. He doesn't diminish. He's the day as He's always been. And He said that He doesn't change. Though He created change, He's free from change. He said though He created rest, He doesn't rest, has no need of rest. And He said though He created time, that He is not subjected to the limitations of time. Also, we would say of space. He says when it comes to Allah, distance and nearness, they're the same. They're the same to Him, you know. So He wants us as human creatures, the one who has the intellect, the mind that He's given us to perceive Him, to know that we are not to see Him as being away from us, not to see Him as being away in heaven, you know. What He wants us to know that He's above heaven, He's above earth, though He's above all those things. He wants us to know that He's so close to us. He's close to us. He said He's closer to us than our jugular veins. And He said He comes between the person and our hearts. And He has to be closer to us because He is the one who created those things. He is the one who gave those things to us. So if they're closer to Him than they are to us. So with that, He lets us know that He's so close to us, you know, that we should value the life that He's given us and understand that He is so close to us, and not to see Him as being one who is just sitting away on the throne, but nothing supports Allah. Nothing can contain Allah, you know. He's free, He's complete, He's whole, He's big, He's Akbar, bigger than anything and everything, you know. And He said He will always be bigger, He will always be greater, He will always be more important than anything and every single thing. So Allah gives us that. And He reminded us, we heard in the Adhan, to say so many times a day that Allahu Akbar, to take our minds, to stretch our minds, to keep in the equation that is bigger, that is greater. If we focus on those things, you know, then we'll find unity, because that unites us is going to always be bigger, is always going to be greater than the things that divide us. So Allah wants us to find those things that unifies us. And one of those things we gave in our opening ayats from the Quran is the Ya ayyuhan nasu attaqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahidah. He gets the attention of all of mankind, all of Nas. And Nas, this word Nas is really referring to those who have a consciousness, have some consciousness of the Creator, you know, Nas. So He says attaqu, now your consciousness should be high. Should have a high regard, Rabbakum. He uses Rabb. He could have said Allah. He says Allah later on in the ayah. He says Allah, Attaqullah. But first He says Rabb, to let us know, you know, that we should respect and have a high regard for those things that deserve our respect and our regard. And one of those things is the one who gave us our very life. And not only He's saying Rabb, that He gave us our life, He brought that life from nothing, made it something, and He nourishes it, sustains it until its destiny, and stays with it to its destiny. So He said you should have a high regard for that. Attaqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum men from what? Nafsin wahidah. Nafsin wahidah. All of us come from one soul. Nafsin wahidah wa khalaqa minha, from that zawjaha. And it's, we know, those who know the language know zawjaha is speaking about the soul. That tells us that our soul really that's a feminine. There's only masculine and feminine in the language. You know, it's not like English. English, you can have a three. You got a he, she, it. don't exist in Arabic. You know, everything has one of these contexts. So the soul, Allah is telling you that its nature is in the way He's saying it. You know, we're just saying what Allah is saying. That it has a feminine. It's a compassion. It's something that He's telling us, every human being, about our nature, the foundation of who we are as human beings. You know, Allah gives that to us in this ayat. And then, of course, we know there's a mate for the soul. And this has many levels. And, of course, the first mate for the soul we can look at is the flesh. Because the soul has to have a flesh. It has to have flesh, otherwise I can't express myself. It's my soul speaking to you, you see. But I have to have the flesh. You can't hear me. I need that now for this reality. I won't need it for the next reality, but I need it for this reality here. So, and then Allah said, but it also talks about the bigger things that we can see. Because Allah always said things for us to understand. You know, really, man don't need no one to tell them that it takes a man and a woman to come together to produce anybody. In the state of nature, you look at the creation and see that happening. You know, you need opposites to produce. You know, man sees the animals doing that. Everything else does that. So we don't really need a creator to tell us that. So He's really speaking about other things, really, bigger things for us as human beings, you know. And so we thank Allah for giving us that to tell us. And later on He tells us that He made us, you know. So you got a masculine, you got a feminine here. And Allah is telling us that the two come together, then there's productivity, there's other life, there's other life. So He's really telling us how to be successful in being productive. He's giving us a formula. You know, have this high regard for Him, you know, who gave you your soul. So Allah is really telling us, right now, every human being is only, again, and you hear this often, but here again, here's the support, again. There is only one human type. There are no two types of humans. And if He's saying there's one soul, there's only one type, one human soul. There are many souls, just as though there are many human beings that have souls, but they all come from that one soul. Allah is telling us, as He said to our Andy, He made us from each other. He said He made the male from the female. He made the female from the male. And we don't have to be a mystery to understand that in all of us, none of us can be here in front of anybody if there was not a male or a female involved. It took a male and a female. We came from each other, you know, men and women. So Allah is telling us, the key point is that all human life is really connected. All human life, we're really a part of each other. Allah wants us to understand that this essence that He's given to us in this picture, in this surah, these ayahs, to let us know the value of every single life is upon this pattern that He's given us in these ayahs. He wants us to see the value here. And then He wants us to understand really at our core is to be concerned, to be compassionate, to be merciful. By He's given us a soul that has this feminine gender, so to speak, you know, at its essence. And we know that, you know, He lets us know in the Quran that He says, Laysa dhakaru kal untha. Now we know he gives us that, and of course that's saying many things. You know, in no wise is the male like the female. You know, but we just said that we have this common origin, so that can be debated on certain levels. But we do know that Allah, when He says something, it has to be true on some levels. So scientifically, when they look at it, they know that the chromosome patterns are different. You know. And there's certain ones the male has, certain ones the female has, and of course they come together. And then we begin to have human life. And then science shows that. And there's a certain point where everybody's the same in the evolution of our life. You know, and then of course the angels or the chromosome, whichever one, how you want to look at it. In the report we're given, the angel asks Allah, and then the chromosomes are released if it's going to be male or female, and then because the distinction is made at that point. You know. So Allah wants us to be able to see our human life and to value our human life and see how we come together. This is very important for us as human beings because we are disrespecting the very nature that Allah, highly glorified as He's upon Allah, has given us by despising life, disrespecting life, degrading life, harming life, killing life, etc. All these things we're doing, we're really only hurting ourselves. And Allah is saying that when you do that, if you feel a certain way about another human being, if you do certain things about another human being, you're really losing something in yourself. You're giving up something in your own self. And they say that that's why you become inhumane. You know, you lose your humanity. And they say we see around the world where people have lost their humanity because they have disrespected human life in terms of what they're killing. So Allah wants us to see, if you don't know yourself, it's difficult for you to know your brother. You see? And it's definitely difficult, and our prophet, peace upon him, say, those who know themselves, they know their Lord. And Allah lets us know who we are. So we should know that everything about us goes back to our Rabbah. It goes back to our Rabbah for every human life. So we should value life. We should respect life. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. This week, we know that today there are a lot of events going to be going on based on the movement in the society. And of course tomorrow there's a big rally on March for Our Lives. And we have to look at what this is upon, what our involvement should be, and we should, most of all, Allah Ta'ala tells us that He is always communicating. So that tells us, if Allah said He's always communicating, anytime something is going on, whatever happens to us, what happens around us, we should be, as His servants, looking to see what is Allah's communication. What is Allah communicating to us? You know? And these movements really, they're connected with the movements before we even came here. You know, in all of the scriptures, they speak about the creation in its beginning. And in its beginning, some say it's violent commotion. They actually translate violent commotion, chaos, smoke without rest, different terms. You know, we know dukhan is one of the terms in Quran. So this was a state before the state that we have right now. Allah, He gives this to us in all the scriptures, and He said He didn't want it to stay like that. You know, so He said to the creation, and this is in what we are giving is before us, way before us as human beings. And He said that commotion, the chaos, that He didn't want it to stay like that. So He said to it, come ye together, willingly or unwillingly. So this was a command from Allah. Now He gave that creation a choice. But the creation responded and gave the answer. And it said, we come willingly. And of course we know when they said that, then there was order. There was unity. The different bodies in the orbit were given their space, given their particular identity, given their particular role, etc. And so only after that order had come did we find that there was peace in the heavens. Now we know when we look at that as students, the creatures of the intellect, that therein is a universal logic for human life and progress. That Allah Ta'ala is giving us a picture of what is to be done here on earth, you know. And we know all the scriptures tell us that they have us look up at the heavens. You know, we were having some of the earlier prayers say, thy will be done on earth as it is, and they point up and they look up as it is in heaven, you know, this peace that we're supposed to begin to try to come into. So when we look at what happened before us, what we don't want to miss, because again Allah has given us this communication, that He's telling us that was here before us, we came out of that. Don't see ourselves separate and apart from the creation. That's the life that gave birth to us. And in the nature of it, in its nature, it willingly sought obedience to Allah. And that's a nature that's in the creation. Allah is telling us also that same nature in the creation, that's the nature that's in us. That's our nature. Really, our nature doesn't want us going against Allah. It wants us to willingly obey Allah. You see? That's the nature in that, because the body, we always talk about the body and how it automatically wants to obey. We talk often about the polygraph and how the body communicates a message when you start lying. With the internal starts lying, the body sends a message because it says, no, you're lying. Allah didn't create you to do that. You know? So that's, Allah wants you to know that's inside of you. You see? So we look at that's out, and Allah said everything is out, He's also put it within. He said, the creation, and He said also the creatures. He said you can even find those creatures in every human being. So we miss communication sometimes if we literally look at things and look at the animal and we can't see the animals in ourselves. the nature of the animals in ourselves, etc. You know, and Allah gives us a very beautiful message as we look at the creation, this creation that we came out of. And we look at the creation that we came out of. And then we just talked about this day is the day of Jumah. And we know Jumah is the day that we find Adam. And then the mate comes. And Allah gives us this picture. You know, that's one of the pictures we can get from the ayahs that we read. The beginning of human life. And then as we come now, we evolve and have an intellectual mind. And we get a scientific mind. Allah tells us, He says now that you have evolved and you have a scientific mind, take the scientific mind that I've given you. Now I want you to take that mind and let it travel back into the earth and look at what has been unearthed in the earth. I want you to see that. He said, now when you look at that, I want you to look at yourself. And he goes into detail. He said, look at your fingernails. He said, look at your teeth and look at your body. Look how fragile you are. Now look again what has been unearthed. And we look at what's been unearthed. The scientific mind have brought forth massive creatures called dinosaurs. You know, big creatures. Saber-toothed tigers, etc., the mammoth, all these things that were so massive. Even the primitive man, how he looked, the viciousness, you know. And he said, now look at yourself. Look at that and look at yourself. He said, look. He said, that stuff is all gone. He said, I've caused that to exist. I brought it on the earth, and then I caused it all to go away. To let you know what I'm evolving. He said he's evolving not the dominant creature, not the menacing creature, but he's evolving the compassionate creature. That we should be more looking to be more compassionate in our behavior, in our actions. And not have dominance, looking to control and power, to be violent, etc. And then today, you know, we've got people in the city right now getting ready to move because we see just the opposite. We see violence. Rampant across the globe, and certainly here in America. And just to look at, you know, Allah puts emphasis on this value that we've talked about, your essence, you know. And of course, you know, we as Muslims, we have to try to work for the state that the heavens have come to, this state of peace, you know. So our greetings, we know Muslim is peace, Islam is peace, and our greeting is Assalamu alaikum. And we know, again, and we hear it often, we have to be reminded of these things. We say our greeting is Assalamu alaikum. But in the kum is every single human being. You think you're speaking to just a Muslim? No, kum is to account for every single human being. You see, I can't even speak to that one Muslim. I can't say Assalamu alaikum if it's a male. I can't say Assalamu alaikum if it's a female. No, we're prohibited from doing that. I have to recognize the life of every single human being and the one human being that I'm greeting to remind that person that it's their obligation and my obligation to work for the peace, to work to establish. In fact, alaikum, in fact, is an obligation that we're working to establish the peace. And Allah tells us, He says the nafs, He said, if you kill a nafs, it's as though He lets us know there, so we can't miss the comb. If we kill a nafs, He says it's like you kill a whole people, to let you know the value of a person. And He put emphasis also after that on saving and preserving life. If you save life. So Muslims should be looking to save life because that's the value really of the action that you're doing to save life. You get the value of that you save. So He's letting you know that every human being has that value of not just who you see, but of a whole, of all of humanity. You see, to let us know what we're hurting. When you hurt that human being that has that value, then now you're losing something because you don't see the value in that life. And you are being restricted. And the more you do that, the more you're being restricted in your space. When you transition and leave this material part right here, that's going to go right back to the earth. It's been completely obedient. It's going to go back to the earth and be of most service to the creation. But that soul, where the body's not going to be judged, that soul is going to be judged. And on account of his actions, that space is going to be spacious or restricted. But the more you hurt life, degrade life, go against life, violate the human life, your space is going to be restricted and it's going to be small. And don't nobody want to be in a box. Nobody is comfortable in a small space, you know. But that's sometimes what we create for ourselves, when we create inhumane actions. So the body that Allah gave us really propels us and pushes us to progress life. And that's why Allah said, from the soul comes a mate, and then there's others, that's production. We have to be productive and come together and produce more life. So just look at some of the statistics now. You know, the reason why people are coming in here now because these mass killings, you know, and they've shocked the souls. They've shocked the soul. The soul feels the same thing. And actually, whether you call yourself a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew, your soul
It cries to Allah, it petitions to Allah the same. It might look different externally. It look different in the rituals and whatever. But the soul, when it's reaching out to his one creator, the one that gave it his life, it cries the same. There's no distinction with Allah. You think he look at your label? No, Allah look at your life. Most of us, we miss life because we're so focused on labels. We're so focused on the label of a Muslim and the ritual things of a Muslim, so they can be looked at, identified by the rituals, that's a Muslim by label. But what about the life when he finished those rituals? What about the life? The emphasis is to be put on the life. Our Prophet, the prayers and the peace be upon him, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he told us that even a Muslim, one who says he's a believer, when he steps outside of that and his life predicts a behavior that contradicts that, he's no longer the believer anymore, even though he has the label. Because his life now doesn't compare, it's not comparable to the label that he says that his life is supposed to. So it's the life more so than the label. All of life is valuable. So we're here now. And the souls are shocked by people who are conscious, who are connected. You know, and the soul is connected to the conscious. We know the nafs, nafsiyah is really speaking about psychology and those kind of things to show that there's science to this. So look at these statistics. And these statistics are coming from the World Health Organization, the CDC, CNN, gun violence archives, etc. You know, let's look at the things that are happening. And of course, these things are driving people. You know, 1/3 of the women around the world are violated during their life. 1/3 of the women worldwide, first of all, are violated. Now, we know the life comes from the women. So if they're violated worldwide, we can imagine the trauma and what the children are experiencing because of the mothers who are experiencing these things. And it's no accident, no coincidence that just last year, women started a movement. Women started a movement. And I know some of us, and even with this movement right now, some of us, we always look to find a reason not to support. And when the women started, of course, the African American women, some of them said, I'm not going to support it because when we stood up, they weren't there for us. We didn't get no attention, you know. But we can't miss that because women across America, even white women, when the African American fought for civil rights to get vote, the white women couldn't even vote up until that point. But they didn't come back and say that we're not going to fight because African Americans got vote. No, it helped. Wherever the help comes from, we have to accept the help wherever it comes from. You know, because again, we got to look at what is Allah's communication. His communication is to bring us together. It's to bring us together. He says that we're supposed to join good wherever we find it. Being a race and compelled towards that is good. So don't look at things and try to step back because what's in front of it might not look just like you, or carry your ethnicity, or carry your race, etc. But this thing is affecting all of human life because we're all a part of each other. And I think Allah is showing us that really it is all of us. All of our children are affected. You got blacks, whites, Asians, you got Hispanics, all now are part of these children that were affected in these mass killings. So continue to look at what the numbers are showing. You know, 260 million youth are exposed to violence in the home. That's worldwide, you know. Just in America, monthly, 50 women are shot to death. Monthly in America, women. Now you can imagine what that's doing to, again, families and children. So more people are affected by this thing. 200,000 youth are killed. And now you can multiply that by another 20 to 40 that are injured and hospitalized. You know, just like we see, everybody doesn't die, but some of them are injured. But then say multiply that. This is a worldwide number. You know, now in America, every one that's killed, 2 are injured. So you can begin to multiply. That's just America alone, you know. On the average in America, just American statistics, 96 people are killed with a gun, just on the average, you know. And you look at, of course, obviously, this thing intersects with race. African American men, they are 13 times more likely than whites to be shot and killed, you know. So this thing again, so we have to be concerned. Is an average of 7 children, just the children and teenagers now, children and teenagers. There's on average of 7 daily. On the average, you know, and 136 are shot weekly, but this many are killed daily. You know, the human toll of violence across the globe is 1.6 million lives every single year, and this should bother us as human beings. You know, it should affect our soul to make us want to do something about this. You know, and so many more. If you say those men are losing their lives, how many more are damaged? You know, that are associated with those lives that have been taken. You know, we say that Allah created the world in 6 days. But a person dies from gun violence every 60 minutes in America. It's staggering. It's staggering. We should do something about it. Look, United States. The most mass shootings in the world, they happen in the United States of America. In America, it only makes up less than 5% of the world's population. But it holds 31% of the global mass shooters. It should bother us. Something's wrong. It is not something that we can't do anything about. It's because somebody hasn't done anything about it. So Allah is again causing some things to happen. And it said, and the child shall lead them. So all this thing is elevating, to push us. Because all of us are concerned about our children. All of us, if you have children here, you are concerned about your children. And that will inspire you, your children, facilitating their life, their needs of life and everything. You get excited about that and making sure they get what they need, they're taken care of, they're fed, etc. So these are children now that are affected by all this. Now, just from January to March, to this month that we're in right now, just for in the first quarter, over 1,800 people were killed. Just in the first quarter. And we got three more to go. 11 weeks into 2018. Just 11 weeks into 2018, 17 school shootings across America. Just in the first 11 weeks. You see? And that's including the one that just took place in Maryland. Nothing was done. So Allah wants us to look at this. We're supposed to look at this, There's a culture here. You see? A culture that's happening in this country, And Allah wants us to look at what's happening to us as a nation, that we have a culture where we are killing our own fellow citizens. We kill our own fellow citizens. We need each other really to progress the nation. Our diversity is what makes us strong and everything else. But we're doing it with guns. And we're doing it more so than any other nation in the world. So things are happening because we fall asleep. Allah is trying to wake us up. Look, there's an estimated 650 million civilians worldwide that own guns. Worldwide. Now, of that number, 50% are owned by American citizens. Of the whole world, 50% of those are owned by American citizens. So look at what's happening to the country, looking at just some of the states that passed this right to carry laws, They are seeing now that the right to carry laws are associated with 10.6%, a 10.6% increase in handgun homicides. So putting more guns in people's hands is not solving the problem. That ain't solving the problem. That's causing more of a problem for us in this country. And we know that the deaths, they affect African Americans 20% more than the general population. You see. Now, you all are sitting, and those who are listening from around the globe, and those who are visitors here, you are sitting in a place that in its history, and starting from the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that when he started, and the movement itself, they forbade guns. You could not carry a gun. They forbade even violence. They were law-abiding. This is way back. You're talking, this is a movement. And if they were caught, what they were put out? No guns. You couldn't break the law. And if you were found breaking the law, you were commanded to, you had to have a card in your pocket to turn it over, to let them know if you were caught breaking the law that they're supposed to prosecute you to the full extent of the law. And the card told them that. So we were prayer. Now, the one who transitioned this community, Imam Muhammad, in 1975, and it's out on the web now. I don't have time to read it because of the time. But his statement, if we read his statement today, and it'll be in the Muslim Journal, it might be there this week or next week. Read his statement. And that was, he said that in 1975 when he took over the community. And he was talking about guns. And it sounded like he was talking about addressing the issue that we have in our society. And he was speaking about the issue is not to give more people guns. No, but you don't need a king say he forbade his community not to carry them. Not to carry them. Now, we have a right to protect ourselves, and they were equipped to protect themselves. And people wouldn't bother them because they didn't have no fear. They only feared the law. Even in the understanding they had from the beginning, they only feared the law. They weren't afraid, even if they didn't have any guns. But those who had guns were afraid to mess with them because they knew they weren't going to just take anything. And that's how human life has to be. When you have a law as your Lord and God and protector, you don't have to fear anything because your life belongs to Him. Nobody controls your life but the one who gave you life. So you don't have to fear nobody else and what they got and how they're threatening you. That's how they were raised. That's how we were raised. And the Imam encourages that kind of life for a person of faith. Don't have your faith in these weapons. Put your faith in the one who gave you the life. And this is what we should be doing. So these are staggering statistics that we're looking at. And as we look at them even more so, you know, many of them, you hear mental illness. And we know we have social scientists in here. We have those here in the medical field. And you know that, you know, mental illness, it includes many different conditions that vary from severity ranging from mild to moderate to severe. And now just last year, the administration that's in place now strapped the regulations that were approved by the previous administration that aimed at preventing seriously mentally ill from getting their hands on guns. You know, now there's something it doesn't make any sense, especially when you look at nearly 50 million people in this country, America, are mentally ill. 50 million are mentally ill, you know, and the most of them don't get no help. Of those who are mentally ill, African Americans, only one quarter of those get help. But among the white population, nearly 40% get help. So as you look at these issues of violence, they do intersect with poverty, they intersect with race, you know, and they're to be seen in a bigger systemic and institutional problem in America. You know, somebody is benefiting. Somebody's benefiting. And that's all we have to do is trace to who's benefiting to find out who we need. We can see where the schemes of Satan come from. You can't defeat Satan. The law said don't fight Satan. You have to understand that. Some think to fight it, they say fight the schemes of Satan. He said because his schemes are weak. And you look at their logic don't hold up. How you going to tell me that it's okay to put a gun in the hand of somebody that's mentally messed up? That don't make no sense. You see? So they're weak. The schemes are weak. So all we do is we look at the schemes and we attack the scheme. Don't try to attack Satan behind it because, again, you can't even find him. You see, because Allah said he watch you, him and Duke, but you can't see them. So he said, don't worry about that. Just you take the schemes, you take him out. Because he's weak. Because he don't have no control. All he's doing, he's suggesting. In the schemes, he suggested. He said, look, don't blame me. Blame your own souls. You know, we have death's al-lawama, you know, the self-accusing spirit. He said, blame your own souls. You see, I didn't have no problem with you. I just invite, I whisper. That's what he does. The wise one, he whisper. And he said, you came. So blame yourself. So this is what we have to look at. I have to blame myself now. There are whispers and tell us not to do anything. Some people are not going to move. They're not going to write. They're not going to join these folks. They're not going to speak. They're going to do the same. They come right here and listen. They ain't going to do nothing. Because somebody whispers saying, you don't need to do it. They got it. No. Allah is propelling us. The Prophet Muhammad, he told us that a Muslim, when he see wrong, how to oppose it. We have 3 actions. He gave us a mandate, 3 ways to do it. Act. Do something with your hands. Get out there physically and move. You can't, then speak out. He said, if you find a way to do that, then at least hate it in your heart. He said, that's the weakest. That's not the best. Why you want to take the weakest action if you can take a higher action? In fact, the mandate says if you can take a higher action, you are obligated to. You're obligated to. That's only if you can't do any other 2 above that. Then you resign with just hating it in your heart. So we have a mandate to join those who are speaking and everything they're saying is right. These are our children. They're the most vulnerable in this society. They're the inheritors of this. You know, we're supposed to be responsible adults. And we're supposed to act. Allah has given us the ability to act. You know, we're missing. We're standing. Our soul is standing. We say it all the time. You know, but that's just a message for us. Allah says, Kunu kawamina bil kiss. Be a people that's standing. Kunu kawamina, people come. We know Qawm is in there. And we do the ikama, to stand up. But it's saying, be a people, kunu kawamina bil kiss. It's really a special meaning there. When he said take a stand. Take a stand, really saying take a stand for those things that are meaningful. That work against your human soul. The human soul. Everybody has a human soul. So not just the one that affect you as a label that you say you're Muslim in your soul, no, every human soul. There are things in this society working against the human soul. We have an obligation to stand up to be the kind of people, the Qawm that Allah created us to be. If we're to be that people, then He created us to be. Fi ahsani taqweem. You hear taqweem? You hear Qawm in that too? The most excellent mode. The most excellent mode. Well, you can be lower, the Safilin. But that's being the excellent mode. The excellent mode of those who stand for those things that are meaningful. and we're getting ready to hear the comma. Before that, we hear the adhan. And we know Bilal, he was honored to be the first one to call the adhan. And we know he called the Fajr, and he added something that wasn't there initially. But Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said it to him. And Rasulullah said, what did you say again? He said, add that. He said, prayer is better than sleep. Prayer is better than sleep. Prayer is better than sleep. We need to wake up because it wakes you up. It wakes you up. And the mu'adhin now gets our attention. He gets our attention. To what? The obligation to move, to respond to those things that are valuable to our life. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا ونكوننا من القوم الخاسرين. إقامة الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Those who are to my left, as I'm facing you, I will be meeting with the Moroccan group. They got a limited time, so they're visiting, and we need to speak with them for a limited time. So I need you to clear out, if you can, my left side, that left side corner where we normally meet with people. So if you're making your sunnah, if you're going to be in the state of making your sunnah, we just ask you kind of move to the right or to the rear and let us set up so we can make sure they get their time is beneficial. That we don't delay them in getting what they come here for. We appreciate them coming and we welcome them as well. And we have a few other announcements as well, inshallah. Make dua while when you finish making a dua again, make a special dua for our dear sister, Sister Clady Kareem. You know, she's been in the community for a long time. Before this building was built, came in around that time. Her family is here. Many of her family members are here. Many of them came in way before. Her janazah was yesterday. So make dua for her. Also, Brother Alahi, he's got some brain tumor trauma going on with him. Make dua for him as well. And we just have a few more announcements after prayer, inshallah. Are we ready in the back? Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يأتيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فأوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا جلال والإكرام. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
تكبير تكبير تكبير.
Yeah, I'm gonna need 10 chairs over here in the circle. If somebody can help me do that and save some time, I appreciate it. In this area over here to my left. And again, for those who are over there, if you're gonna make your soon, I'm gonna ask if you kind of move over so we can go ahead and set up over there because our guests are on a time schedule, and we want to make sure that they benefit, get full utility from that time. The menu today is chicken wings, vegetables, salad, and drink, and sandwich. That meal is $10. Sandwich is $7, and it costs us bean soup for $1.75. Business folks, those who are in business, you are invited to list your business in the Masjid Muhammad's business directory. The directory will cover businesses in the DMV area. Contact Hiram Russell, who is Blue Boys Printing, or you can contact Imam Muhammad Abdul Malik of Peppermint Painting. Contact either one of them. Our Talim for April, we're going to have, again, 2 Sundays in April.
Actually 3. We've got 3 workshops in April, so make these dates. It'll be the Quranic concepts related to Adam. That's the theme for April. Quranic concepts related to Adam. This will take place April the 1st. Again, from 1:30 to 2:30, essentially after Dhuhr prayer. We'll go about an hour. Session 2 will be April the 15th, and session 3 will be April the 29th. And there will be materials provided for those sessions. And again, make sure you bring your Quran and notebooks, pens, etc. Imam Naeem Muhammad will be facilitating that class. Also, there's going to be a fundraising event, exclusive spring gala, an evening of inspirational comedy and celebration on March the 31st, 2018, at the Marriott in Bethesda, 5151 Pokes Hill. You have the Muslim delegate from Maryland, Bilal Ali. You have Olympic medalist, Sister Ibtihaj Muhammad will be there, the comedian, Azhar. And then you have myself, where we'll be the speakers at that event. And we also have Wali Imam Wazir from Houston will also be there as well. So it's about education. It's an education fundraiser. Here's a quote from Malcolm: "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." That's a quote from our brother Malcolm. And we know he was self-educated and went through the whole dictionary, etc. Again, tomorrow, well, actually tonight, March for Our Lives. That's going to happen tomorrow. But tonight at the National Cathedral, and we have 2 of our young folks participating, and myself. We got a big event happening at the National Cathedral at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Tonight. March for Our Lives, Interfaith Prayer Vigil. So there's a program lined up. Let's see, registration is required. Again, they expect to have a lot of people because a lot of people come in the city. Doors open at 6:15 tonight. Try to get there around that time. I think parking, some limited parking under the building because of some work, but we hope that some of you will come out and support that event. Again, we should be a part of these things and come out and hear some of those who've been affected that'll be on the program speaking as well, and also support our young people. Young people who've been able to get on the program. That's also did some very inspirational things. And I think those are the main announcements. Please get the rest of the announcements from the bulletin. And there are several in there about those who can't make it out, the sick and shut in. We have an obligation to them as Muslims to visit, to make prayers for them, etc. Please look at that list as well, and the other things. Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Imam, you got 10